Hello, welcome to France 24. I'm Marjorie Hash, and it's time for your weekly dose of music news. Our guest is Welsh psychedelic pop artist Gruff Rhys, who's known for being a key member of indie bands such as the Superfurry Animals and Neon Neon. He very often sings in Welsh, his first language, and has been dubbed one of the key figures of Cool Cymru. Now, this cool Welshman has just released his 7th studio album, Seeking New Gods, which is full of synth and orchestral tones. Gruff, thank you so much for joining us on the show from Cardiff. I'm going to go into asking you first about this new album. Thank you. Which is themed around Mount Pektu, which is an active volcano situated between China and North Korea. And now, how did that turn into an inspiration for you?
Well, that inspired the initial idea for the album. I was going to write a biography of this fascinating mountain that had fired my imagination, really. But the more I wrote and the more I looked into it, I realised I wasn't really qualified, to write about it. And the songs became more and more personal.
It's quite interesting that you went from trying to write a biography of a mountain to one being something of a more personal story. Do you think geography and environment and human beings can have similar stories?
It turned maybe into a record about aging and time passing by. And I'd written a few biographical records about humans in the past. And I thought I could do something similar with a mountain, but it was such a vast subject. It became simpler and simpler, and I ended up writing about myself.
Okay, well, how about we check out one of the tracks? Mausoleum to My Former Self, which is the opening track on Gruff Rhys's new album. The music on this record is incredibly uplifting, although I have to say you have some quirky sounding tracks with titles like Lone Your Loneliness and Can't Carry On. If we didn't know that this record had been written in 2019, we'd say you've really managed to reflect the moods of 2020 and 2021. How have these past 18 months, changed you, and how has this played into the songs?
I think it's inevitably changed me. I haven't processed it yet to figure out how, But I finished the record in 2019, and then had to sit on it whilst the pandemic raged. But I had themes of plagues and things on the album, but they were metaphors for our political age at the time, really. But the record was definitely ready for a pandemic. The only thing I could control in the moment for release was the title. So maybe the title is a dark joke and a nod to this eventful time we have to live through.
Oh, absolutely. And now you're quite an internationalist in terms of the way you create music, but also because you're an artist who's traveled around the world. You've performed as part of Africa Express, and your previous album actually featured a number of different languages on it and was produced by Zulu studio wizard Mutsi. So that's just to name some of your recent work. But how are you imagining the future, and where would you like to go and travel to next? Because obviously travel has been such a difficult thing to do.
I'm interested in languages. My first language is the Welsh language. I'd like to visit Brittany when they're allowed to have Breton education by the state, I think that's where I'd like to go.
I can imagine a Gruff Rhys Breton album would be something that a lot of people would welcome here in France, but also across the world, and also just mix it with Gaelic as well. How about we go and check out some other music news, and we're going to move over to here in France, because after Spain and the UK, well, France is also tentatively testing out concerts this week. First up in Paris, the huge Accor Arena, where 5,000 mass music fans will take part in an event entitled Ambition Live Again, or Ambition Live Again, which will feature live performances from French touch legend Etienne de Crécy and rockers Indochine. The event will serve as a test to see how COVID-19 spreads or not. Some 20,000 volunteers are said to have signed up in the hope of being picked. Meanwhile, over in the northeast of Paris, music festival Villette Sonique will be taking place. Now, the 3-day outdoor event will feature a very cool lineup, including François and the Atlas Mountains, Lala and Nice, and Bonnie Banane, to name but a few. Gruff, how much are you looking forward to going back on the road? Because I imagine you're really missing that at the minute.
Yeah, I did my first shows on the weekend. I did some distanced shows in London and Brighton, and I had to play 2 shows a night because of the reduced capacity. And everyone was sitting down, so they haven't reintroduced dancing yet. Mm-hmm. So I just played a solo set.
Well, that does sound already amazing, because you must have had reaction from the audience again, and that must feed in very nicely. We're going to head over now to LA, where American songwriter and producer Mereba is about to release a new record called Azeb. Now, she credits her Ethiopian heritage, but also the likes of Whitney Houston, TLC, and Notorious B.I.G. as her influences. Oh, and I should mention her last mentor on her first album was none other than Stevie Wonder. Let's check out one of her songs off this new 7-track offering. Also set for release this week is the posthumous album of rapper DMX, who passed away in April at the age of 50 following a heart attack. The entire album is entitled Exodus, and it will feature original songs and collaborations with the likes of Jay-Z, Nas, Bono, and Alicia Keys, just to name a few. Well, that brings us to the end of this edition. A big thanks to my guest, Gruff Rhys. Remember, his new album, Seeking New Gods, is available. The latest France 24 news bulletin is up in just a few minutes, which just gives me enough time to remind you to head to our website for all the culture news. And of course, follow us encore on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm also going to play out with the show with Angel Olsen and Sharon Van Etten, who, wait, is this a dream? Teamed up for a country-style girl group collab. It's called Like I Used to. Take a look.